Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred. And for you?
The same.
How do you take it?
Straight up. With a twist. Thank you, Mr.
My name is Brady. Fram Brady. Welcome to episode 12 of History of Gaming, the impact of GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. We're going to go through everything related to GoldenEye, from the inception, through the movie, into the release on Nintendo 64. We'll look at single player mode, and of course, we're going to look at that multiplayer. But let's get things started by checking out the James Bond game that came before GoldenEye. I'm of course talking about the Duel for Sega Genesis. Believe it or not, GoldenEye was the 11th James Bond video game ever made, starting all the way back in 1982 with a text-based adventure. The last James Bond game before GoldenEye was called The Duel. The Duel was a side-scrolling action game starring Timothy Dalton, the Bond who came before Pierce Brosnan. The Duel was released on the Sega Genesis and is widely considered one of the weaker Bond titles. The Duel wasn't well received, which meant GoldenEye arrived with pretty low expectations. It's trivia time, gamers. There were so many levels in GoldenEye. But did you know there was supposed to be one more? One mission was originally designed to be two separate missions. Which mission was that? I'll answer this after we talk multiplayer. But first, let's check out the GoldenEye film.
No more foreplay. Name's Bond. James Bond.
Obviously, the film GoldenEye was the inspiration for this Nintendo 64 game. But it went a lot deeper than that. The developer of GoldenEye, Rare, was given unprecedented access to the movie set, allowing Rare to develop the most realistic cinematic environments we had seen to that point. And of course, all of the characters from the movie were put into the game, so you could control just about anyone.
Bond, James Bond, is blasting his way onto Nintendo 64 in the game version of the hit feature film, GoldenEye. Read your case file, grab your gun and clever gadgets, then control the actions of 007, the world's most famous spy. True 3D movement, motion, and character showcase the game's amazing realism, and different weapons allow you to accomplish your task covertly or not. Play solo or against a friend or foe with a two-character split screen. Good luck, Bond!
The release of GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, well, it didn't go as well as you may have thought. GoldenEye was released in August of 1997, almost 2 years after the film was released in November of 1995. Combine the release with Rare being a young, mostly inexperienced development team at that time. Expectations were tempered, to say the least. However, in a day well before social media, we're talking 10 years before social media, a day in which the internet was still in its infancy, word of mouth began to spread. Gamers brought the game home, had some friends over, and quickly realized how addictive the multiplayer of GoldenEye was. Nintendo didn't even know Rare had included a multiplayer mode, so it wasn't mentioned in the marketing. But before you knew it, Nintendo had sold 8 million copies of GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the third best-selling game on the Nintendo 64, just behind Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. The main part of GoldenEye was the single-player game. After all, this is why Rare made the game, not for the multiplayer. At this point in gaming history, most games of this nature, if you really think about it, were about finding the exit through a difficult maze. In GoldenEye, gamers were tasked with spy-related tasks, like disabling security cameras or recovering classified documents. Gamers were encouraged to play stealthily, as enemies reacted to both sound and visual cues. That means an alarm is going off if an enemy hears a gunshot or comes across a dead body. Silence weapons, destroying cameras, and avoiding civilian casualties were all a necessity. Unless you were doing a speedrun, of course, then it was just go, 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 go! You had to do speedruns if you wanted to unlock new cheat codes, game modes, and weapons. GoldenEye had dynamic difficulty levels: Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent. However, instead of simply making the enemies have more health or deal more damage, higher difficulties added new mission objectives and could unlock new sections of the map. GoldenEye was one of the first console shooters to track where you shot an enemy. Shooting a guard in the leg caused them to limp. And a headshot, well, that was an instant kill.
Do you know how to use one of these?
GoldenEye. Load a rumble pack and see how it feels when 007 meets N64.
If you've seen past episodes, you know that I had an uncle who left me a treasure trove of VHS tapes from the 1990s, in which he detailed gaming in the 1990s. In episode 8, Uncle Fram's top 10 games of the 1990s, we saw that GoldenEye was the #1 game. I have a lot of content from Uncle Fram about GoldenEye. Let's check out what he had to say about multiplayer. I love this game. GoldenEye is so much fun, and the levels are so lifelike. But what's really fly is the multiplayer. Running around with 3 other friends, shooting and exploding each other is a riot. I love me some proximity mines. You can even toss them on the run and blow them up midair. But nieces and nephews, make sure you beat Dam in under 2 minutes and 40 seconds so you can unlock paintball mode. That makes multiplayer even more fun. And if you play with your friends, I gotta warn you, watch out for the gamer who gets the Vulture Award. They're always in the right spot. It's multiplayer time. Multiplayer was not in the original plans for GoldenEye, being added very late in the process. And by late, I mean the code was written in a month. But this is where GoldenEye went from great game to an all-time classic. GoldenEye would split the screen into quarters, allowing gamers to play up to 3 of their friends in death matches. And since this was pre-online gaming, for the most part, the multiplayer relied on gamers all being in the same room, each with a wired controller. Wild. Sure, you could look at what your opponents were up to, but odds are, if you look over there, if you look over there, if you look over there, or if you look over there, odds are, by the time you look back to your corner, you're going to be dead. And since GoldenEye was mainly living room based, players would come up with all sorts of rule sets or ways to play. There was a built-in you only live twice and living daylight scenarios, but it was the fan-made modes that most gamers remember. Like slappers only, where you could only fight with your hands. Or the odd job rule, in which odd job was banned from being selected because of how small he was compared to everyone else. And my favorite mode, proximity mines only. I'd find a room with a dead end, lay mines out in the hallway and the door entrance, then park myself in the corner so the other three couldn't tell where I had buried myself, but they'd eventually find me, you know, when the walls exploded around them. Let's answer that trivia question, gamers. There were 20 levels in GoldenEye, but there was supposed to be 21, until Rare combined 2 levels for the mission called Surface. Now you know why Surface took so long. Did you get that trivia question? Let me know in the comments.
Bond. Everyone has something special on their wish list this year. Perhaps it's a new toy, fantastic getaway, quality time with friends, or maybe a little tooth polish. GoldenEye 007 Reloaded, rated T for teen.
GoldenEye came out on console at a time where you could only experience a first-person shooter properly on a computer. First-person shooters were very much in their infancy, but GoldenEye proved to the world that a console and a controller could do the same thing as a mouse and a keyboard. Without GoldenEye, you likely don't get Halo or Call of Duty. GoldenEye's success as a movie-based video game would lead to a run of movie tie-in games, like Die Hard Trilogy 2, Viva Las Vegas, The Thing on PS2, and believe it or not, Medal of Honor, which was technically based on Saving Private Ryan, but designed to look and feel like GoldenEye. GoldenEye had a profound impact in so many ways, and that was the impact of GoldenEye. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed episode 12 of History of Gaming. GoldenEye is one of my all-time favorite games, and I bet if you're still here, GoldenEye was one of your favorite games too. What was your favorite weapon to use in multiplayer? Or were you mainly a single-player fan? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching my 12th episode of History of Gaming. This marks a full year of making these episodes. So what's to come in year 2? Well, I'm not going to give away too much, but I will give you a hint for episode 13. Wasn't 1998 great? Thanks for watching episode 12, and as always, GG.